Hi, boys and girls. So last week you read the story of migration. In this story, we learned about two different animals that migrate. And while you were reading, you should have been thinking, why do animals migrate? In science, just in time, we learned that to migrate means to move from one area to another. This usually happens during the cold times. Or if there is not enough food around that area for that specific animal. So there are two animals that we learn about. We learn about the grasshopper, which is also and that we figure out turns into a cicada. And we also learn about the whales. Now, they migrate for different reasons. The cicadas migrated because there was not enough food in that area. There was too many of them, so they needed to move to go find new food. And the whales migrate and come back because they need to go to warmer areas. And as we read, that the mother whales give birth to their new babies and they want to give birth in warmer waters, but then they return to those colder waters. So we learned that a locust is a grasshopper that will grow its wings, and some different things happen. Their bodies will turn a light green to dark yellow or red. Their antenna will grow short, and they rise up to fly together in the billions. So when there are too many of them, they need to go find a new area for food. We hear when they move, they travel in big packs and they make thunderous noises. So they make loud noises from their wings flapping. And when they travel so much that they can cover the sun in that specific area and it looks like nighttime. When they travel, they look for areas where they can get some new food. They go down and they eat that food. And it turns out when there are so many of the cicadas that they do eat maybe all the crops in that area. So then those people who live in that area tend to suffer because they do not have that food to eat anymore. We learned that locusts can cause accidents. They fly very high, as up to 2 miles up in the sky. And this can make it difficult for planes when they are traveling. We read that there are many stories in history about the devastation of locust plagues, which means they come and affect a certain area. And then that they also lay their eggs. Once they do lay their eggs, they do die, and then these new locust eggs then hatch and become new locusts. If there is food for them to eat, they will stay as grasshoppers. But if there isn't, they will then change their color again. Their antennas will get short, and they will change and have wings. So then that same cycle would happen again. That is only if there isn't enough food. If this video gets cut short, there will be a second video to finish the rest of the reading. Next, we learn about the whales, and they migrate for a different reason. They migrate because of the cold waters. So where they are at, the Arctic, it gets cold and there can be ice. So that means it gets hard for them to find food. It can be difficult for them to live in the colder waters. So then they travel to areas of warmer water. What they do is they find a few other whales that they travel with. When this first starts, the female whales go out first, and then the male whales follow them. They can be traveling up for 8 months, so they have to eat as much food, and then their body holds it. So their body takes this fat in and holds that for all of the time that they are not eating. As they travel, they move near shore, and that's how some of us have probably seen whales in the ocean before. And then, so if you look at this little map, it shows you that they travel from up by Alaska down near Mexico. And then what happens is when the water turns warm again, they end up traveling back to where they came from, and they find that same exact spot. And then that time next year again, they will travel. So that is just a recap of our story of migration and some of our vocabulary that we learned.